Welcome to LNWR Crook Street. Today we're going to look at signals. There's quite a variety of signals at Crook Street. We'll take a look at each one and explain what they are and what their purpose is. A driver approaching Crook Street first encounters the large down-home bracket signal. Normal running lines are controlled by the absolute block system. This is where the line between two signal boxes is called a block section, where only one train is allowed at a time. A stop signal at the end of the section on the approach to a signal box's controlled area is called a home signal, and a signal leaving the signal box's area and entering the block section between it and the next signal box is called a starter signal, as it's at the start of the next section. Although this is still an ordinary home signal for Crook Street, this signal is also a splitting signal that indicates the route for the driver. That's why it has 4 arms, or doles, as posts and a bracket are known. The doles are of different heights to indicate the priority of the route, the second dole being the highest, as it's the main passenger route to the up and down platform, which, in the station, is labelled Platform 1 for passengers. Additionally, it has a miniature arm on the first dole. We'll explain this later. The driver of an arriving train encounters no more signals until the buffer stops at Crook Street. Because it's a terminus station, each arrival road can also be used as a departure road. And, because of the complexity of the layout, there is a separate starter signal at the end of each platform. Signals are placed to protect movements from potential collisions. There isn't a requirement to place a starter signal at the end of the platforms. The trains aren't flagged away by the signals. But in the case of Crook Street, there are potentially conflicting moves immediately following the platform ends. Whilst there are general rules in signalling, individual locations and the local signalling engineer may adapt these rules for local conditions. This is an example of that. This bracket signal at the end of the bay platform is not a splitting signal, but 2 separate starters. The left-hand one for platform 4 and the right-hand one for the bay. The starter for the loop road has a ring on the arm to denote a subsidiary running line. Additionally, this signal has non-standard suspended balance weights because of tight clearances in this location. After leaving the platforms, the departing driver next encounters another starting signal, technically called an advanced starter, as it's the second signal after the signal box. There's no home signals leaving a terminus station. This signal is on a wooden gantry and is a splitting signal for routes controlled by the next signal box in advance, Fletcher Street. The routes left to right are goods line to yards access from the truncated old Bolton and Lee route, followed by the Row Green line to Manchester, and then the line to Atherton and Kenyon Junction. Because of space constraints at this location, the signal are all short arms and also has a miniature arm in the central dole. Also, this signal has 2 fixed distance for Fletcher Street to inform the drivers to proceed with caution over the slow speed point work ahead. The distance signals are of a type used in the 1920s, which were only denoted by the V cutout, still painted red and with a straight white stripe. The familiar yellow arm with a black chevron stripe was only used later by the LMS. Although not visible, these signals would be slotted, which means that both Crook Street and Fletcher Street control them, and the arms will not be lowered until the levers in both boxes are pulled. This is because in a large, busy locality, the signal box control areas can overlap, meaning that there are effectively no block section between them, and so Crook Street's starter is also Fletcher Street's home signal. The exchange of trains safely and sequentially still occurs using the block instruments. Now we'll look at subsidiary signals. There are three types of subsidiary signal: calling on, shunt ahead and warning. The first two are found at Crook Street. The purpose of these signals is for allowing slow speed movements within the station areas to permit, for example, an engine to approach coaches standing in a platform. Here we see the loop line signal, where the calling on signal also has a ring. And the up and down platform calling on signal. Both are used to release engines and shunting moves. These two signals use standard LNWR short arms, not to be confused with the identical short arms used on the advanced starter gantry. The 1920s were a time of transition on the LNWR, and three types of subsidiary arms were in use concurrently. Drivers were expected to know the road and understand what signals applied where. Here on the bay bracket, the earlier type of calling on arm is in use. This revealed a white light when lowered, with no light being shown when on. And here on the gantry, the arm is the most modern type with a small spectacle plate. This signal is a shunt ahead signal, which permits movements under caution into the section, in this instance Fletcher Street's section, and is used for shunting and access into Crook Street Yard. Finally, the rotational shunting ground signals. These protect movements within the station yard. So that wraps it up for signals. I hope you enjoyed that explanation, and thanks for watching.